first one, and we're going to do an inventory of how much of each element we have on each side. So if we look at the nitrogens first, we have on the reactant side, we have 2 nitrogens here, and we have 1 nitrogen here. That's not balanced. Now if we look here, we have 2 hydrogens on the left, and if we look here, we have 3 hydrogens on the right. So between the 2 and the 1, or the 2 and the 3, which one is easier to balance? Well, there's really no right answer, but I'm going to tell you that this 2 and this 1 are easier, because all you have to do is multiply this number by 2. In fact, let's do that in another color. So we got 2 NH3. Now I have just adjusted my amount of nitrogens. By putting this 2 in front of everything, I'm fixing or adjusting everything behind this number. So I have to multiply everything by 2. So this 1 nitrogen now becomes 2 nitrogens. I didn't do anything over here on the left, so I'm not going to mess with anything over on the left. However, on the right side, I now messed up with this 3 hydrogens. By putting a 2 in front of this ammonia, I've actually doubled the amount of hydrogens. So 2 times 3 is actually equal to 6 hydrogens. Now, 2 nitrogens here, 2 nitrogens here. That checks out. 2 hydrogens here, and 6 hydrogens here. We have a bit of a problem. I have to adjust one of these numbers in order to get them to be balanced. So take a moment, look here, and tell me which number you need to switch. Yes, right here, we're going to put a 3. Because 3 times 2 is now equal to 6 hydrogens. Now the very last thing you do is you're not done. We always want to verify and double check. So if there's no number in front, we're going to assume that that's a 1. Now for the regions, you can write a 1 in here, or you can leave it blank. Leaving it blank is like writing X. Putting a 1 in there is like writing 1X. It's not wrong, but it doesn't look the best. So here we have 2 nitrogens. That checks out. 1 times 2 is 2. Going over here, we also have 2 nitrogens, because remember, we assume that there's a 1 right here. 2 times 1 is 2. Nitrogens, check. Looking at the hydrogens, I just reviewed that, but I'll do it again. 3 times 2 is equal to 6. 2 times 3 is also equal to 6. Hydrogens, check out. Okay? Now I'm going to do one that's a little bit more complicated. And we're going to deal with problems like this towards the end of the year. But right now, we're going to look at it and see what we can adjust easiest and what we can adjust first. So if we look at this problem, we have 1 hydrogen, we have 1 chlorine, we have 1 calcium. Now here we have 2 O's and 2 H's. I could either write 2O, 2H, or for this, I'm just going to write 2OH right now. That means 2O and 2H. Over here, we have 1 calcium, and here we have 2 chlorines. Here we have 2 H's and 1 oxygen. Now let's look at both sides. It's going to be a little bit tricky to balance some of these, because here we got 1 H and we got 2 H's, so technically we have 3 H's on the left and we have 2 H's on the right. If you have something like that that's difficult to balance, save it for the end. Don't do it right away, especially when you have H's, OH's, and water. So let's look at something else. We have 2 O's right here, and we have 1 O over there. 2 O's and 1 O. We could adjust the oxygen, but I'm going to show you why it's going to be easier to adjust something else first. We have 1 chlorine here. We have 2 chlorines here. We have 1 calcium and 1 calcium. So we're not going to start with the calcium because we don't know which one we need to adjust. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust the chlorine. We have 2 chlorines over here. We have 1 chlorine over here. So let's go ahead and put a 2 right there. Because now I just made 2 chlorines. But I also did something else. I also adjusted our number of hydrogens. So here now we have 2 H's and 2 OH's. Now if I go over here, I have 2 H's and 1 O. Remember, I needed a total of 2 H's and I needed 2 OH's on the other side. 2 H's plus 2 OH's. How many waters does that make? Again, H plus OH makes 1 water. H plus OH makes 2 waters. 2 H's, 2 OH's makes 2 waters.